Most of us probably think we have a pretty good idea of what's good for us. My entire life I've been aware that some things were good for me and some things weren't. One of my earliest memories is of my mom trying to get us kids to eat homegrown cauliflower she'd steamed for dinner. Steamed cauliflower, generally not super enticing to kids. When we gave pushback, she encouraged us with, "It's good for you," an obvious incentive to eat up. We complained and slouched in our chairs, refusing to be motivated. Not one of us wanted to eat that cauliflower, good for us or not. It looked weird and it made the house smell funny. We did all the things kids do to get out of eating something they don't want to eat. When we complained about the smell, she rolled her eyes. When we said it looked gross, she poo-pooed us. When we moaned there were bugs on it, she told us it was pepper. But that last complaint got Dad's attention, prompting a skeptical look at the cauliflower. The pepper, indeed, had legs. We claimed a small victory that day because bugs in your food overrides having to eat anything good for you. This experience, and I'm sure countless others, reinforced the idea that good for me equates to bad smells, bland taste, funny textures, negative feelings, and loads of vitamins. Like broccoli, the texture takes some getting used to. I threw it up once just because of the texture. I took loads of vitamins growing up. In middle school, I brought a small manila envelope of about a dozen vitamins in my lunch. I even took them. My mother wanted to make sure we were getting enough essential nutrients. When I got a little older, the vitamin consumption waned. I couldn't tell if it was doing any good or not. But by the time I had my own children, that mother instinct kicked in, and I too wanted to ensure my children had all the vitamins and nutrients needed to be healthy. However, instead of a dozen vitamins at mealtime, they got a gummy when I remembered. I think for me, vitamin supplements represented some kind of health insurance. If my kids ate too many treats or wouldn't eat healthy foods, at least they were taking their vitamins. I didn't worry so much about the boxes, bags, and packages that filled their stomachs. It wasn't until my kids started leaving the nest that I became aware my perception of what was good for me might be misguided. I'd raised my kids on typical kid food: hot dogs, fishy crackers, loads of milk, boxed macaroni and cheese. If it didn't look like a dessert, it probably wasn't so bad. We limited soda and sugary cereals to special holidays and rarely frequented fast food restaurants. Throughout my life, I, like you, have made a whole lot of choices based on what I thought was good for me. The funny thing is, that benchmark for what is supposed to be good for me seems to be always changing, partly because science is always changing, but also because of misunderstandings. A flashback of hindsight reveals some of these changing health admonitions. Low fat, low cholesterol, no eggs, high fat, high protein, calorie counting, low carbs, intermittent fasting. When the food pyramid changed from a pyramid to my plate, my good for you foundation was pretty shaken. It seemed like everything I'd been taught was turned upside down. What I thought was absolute truth had been radically altered. I did my best to reconstruct a new good for you foundation. Then I had an experience that really rocked my world. About 9 days in, on a 2-week bus tour, my husband's ankles became swollen, red, and blotchy. When he pressed his finger into them, an indentation the shape of his finger remained. It appeared to be edema. Under normal circumstances, we would have gone to urgent care, but because we were stuck on this bus tour with our kids, our options were limited. I racked my brain. I had no idea what to do for him. We couldn't feasibly leave the tour bus. We would have to forfeit the rest of our trip. Then I remembered a woman on the bus who seemed to be something of an herbalist. I'd been half listening to her wild stories of herbal benefits since the tour began. As a last-ditch effort, I told her what was going on with my husband. She smiled and seemed to be mulling this over as we got off the bus for a nature walk. When we returned from the nature walk, she proffered a handful of hard little purple berries and asked if I thought my husband would eat them. I laughed and said no, but I said, "You can ask him." She told him to crack 4 or 5 berries in his mouth 3 or 4 times a day and swallow them. I couldn't have imagined stranger advice, and I knew for certain my husband wouldn't do it. But he did. 24 hours later, the symptoms were noticeably better, and 36 hours later, All symptoms and discomfort were gone. And I said, "What were those purple berries?" They were juniper. I recognized that name, and I thought I might even recognize the plant if I saw it. I was stunned. Something in nature as common as juniper had medicinal benefits without being processed or extracted or synthesized, just raw nature in its whole form. This was a catalyst moment for me. I witnessed the immediate effects of how the body reacts to what is put into it. I became so curious and interested in the way things interact with our bodies, the food we eat, the medicines we take, the air we breathe. As it turns out, all of these things have a powerful effect on our bodies. I began reading and researching and learning all I could, and at almost every step along the way, I continued to be amazed. I had been so ignorant for so long. I really thought that science had discovered every vitamin and mineral and nutrient in our food. I mean, we live in a day and age where science is doing really amazing things. How could they not have discovered all the components in our food? The truly amazing thing is, there are thousands of nutrients in our food, yet undiscovered and unresearched. Thousands. If there are thousands of undiscovered and unresearched nutrients in our food, how do we know what those nutrients do for our bodies? And what happens to our bodies when they are removed? If your diet mainly consists of foods that come out of a package, drive-through, or vitamin bottle, you are missing out on these undiscovered nutrients. I started paying attention to how my body reacts to what I put into it. Those random aches and pains I'd attributed to the wonders of aging actually went away when I changed what I was eating. How could food have such a dramatic effect on how I felt physically? There are so many health nuances that make understanding what is actually good for you challenging. There are so many. The more I've learned, the more disappointed I became that I didn't already know this stuff. Why aren't we all taught this in school? Understanding how to navigate health, which, by the way, is very connected with all aspects of your well-being, shouldn't be so hard. And this is why I'm here. I've learned so many amazing things about what really is good for you that I think everyone should know. My quest for health and healing knowledge is also shared by my sister. I became a clinical herbalist, then a master herbalist. My sister has also pursued a study of health and herbs. We've made so many wonderful discoveries, and we want to share them with you. We are going to cover a lot of topics and highlight everything that contributes to overall health. So tie on your shoes and hold on to your hats, because here we go. If you like this video, feel free to click the like button. And if you'd like to be notified when we share future nuggets of good for you wisdom, click the subscribe button. See you soon.